What is up, everybody? It is Saturday. Liam Murphy here at Chess Liam on Twitter, here to break down the Week 13 NFL DFS main slate. Just watched the USA men's soccer team play, and unfortunately, we took the L to the Dutch, but was a good game. Feel good about the future. Let's zoom in here. And we're going to go game by game today. I think this is a fun slate. The Bills Patriots showdown slate was close to shipping there. Had a lot of James Cook, but didn't win a contest. So that's just how it goes sometimes. All right, we're going to go game by game. Going to do this quick today. Got things to do, but Packers at the Bears. Packers are 3.5-point favorites, 45 over under. I think Justin Fields obviously is a fine play against the Packers, who just got absolutely destroyed on the ground by Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. So other than that, I thought Jordan Love looked really good. Now there's a question of if he was playing against prevent defense and whatnot, but I thought Jordan Love looked good. It doesn't really matter, though. It looks like Rodgers is going to play. So moving on to the running backs, I think Aaron Jones is not going to be popular, but a pretty good play. This Bears defense is terrible, 25th against points allowed. You can run all over them. You can pass on them. So Aaron Jones, I'm interested in. A.J. Dillon, if you're searching for that narrative, announced he's going to have a kid this week. On the other hand, I think he's been in and out of practice. And, it's just real tough to trust this usage numbers. And then David Montgomery, also very playable with Khalil Herbert still out. He should come back week 15, I think. Again, this is a 31st ranked team against the rush, and they're good against the pass. And you can score on them. So really, Jones, Montgomery, I'm not as interested in playing Fields as the field. Because Darnell Mooney's out, and you would have to think the Packers know they're playing a quarterback like Jalen Hurts and are going to do something to try to make anyone else beat them. Wide receivers in this game. I'm definitely going to be jamming a bunch of Christian Watson. He's just the one for the Packers. And yeah, we have to expect the touchdowns will come down to earth. But at the same time, the dude just looks a step faster than everyone. So I'll be chasing the Watson. Lazard is comfortably the 2 to me. Romeo Doubs is back, so that's a little bit interesting. And then, I don't think anyone from the Bears side is playable. But if you wanted to, Chase Claypool is only 3,800. And with Darnell Mooney out for the year, target's got to go somewhere. And then I'm staying away from these tight ends. But if you are going to play one, obviously Cole Kmet has gotten there in a couple of games with Fields. It's not my favorite spot. And then I think both defenses are fine. But I'm playing pretty narrow defense. I usually play pretty narrow defense pool. Going to be playing a lot of the 49ers. Going to be playing a lot of the Jets D. And then a little bit of some other spots. All right, moving on. Pitt at Atlanta in the Dome. This game has a 43 over-under. Falcons favored by 1. I think both quarterbacks are fine, but on a slate that has Mahomes, Hurts, Fields, Deshaun, Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, I think they're tough clicks for me. You can do it, but it feels like with how many high total games there are this week, you just need too much for these quarterbacks to pay off. But they're cheap. Najee, is apparently going to play but didn't practice all week. If Najee was out, I think Jalen Warren was going to be some pretty decent chalk with, I think, Benny Snell questionable too. Warren's looked really explosive when he's on the field and he catch passes and he's facing, a not great Falcons D in a dome. So I think playing some Warren still is fine. Just hoping that the Steelers either don't use Najee a lot or it's very feasible Najee's injury gets enacted up. So Warren at 4,900 is interesting. Obviously, I think Donovan Knight of the Jets will be more popular. So low ownership, milli maker type stuff. Interested in Warren. CPAT, I can't really get CPAT down. He has fine totals. He got 5 targets last week. I don't know if that was a blip or if we should expect that to continue. So I think you can always play CPAT, but obviously it's tough to use a running back spot this week on CPAT when there's so many great options. At wide receiver, I think this is a pretty clear stay away unless you are stacking this game. And then the only guy who maybe you can play is Zacchaeus for value, where he got 8 targets last week, got 91 yards. That is the either the first or second game that Kyle Pitts has been out. So maybe Zacchaeus, if he is this 8 target guy in a dome, definitely a spot you could play against a team like Pitt, who plays a lot of man coverage. It can be beat against wide receivers. Fire move. I think a lot of optimals spit out Fryer move. The question is, will hand builders pay up for the 4,300? If he's low owned, I'm definitely interested. And, I think he's just good. So I think you can always play him. And then the Falcons guys, I'm not fucking with it. I think Pruitt caught a touchdown without Kyle Pitts in there. And then if I was playing one of these defenses, I would be playing the Steelers with TJ Watt. The problem is the Falcons just don't pass that often, so it's hard to get those strip sacks, those fumbles, etc. Okay. Moving on. We're getting the ugly games out of the way early. Denver at Baltimore. This game, it has a 39 over under, and the Ravens have been bet up to 9.5 point favorites. I'll be playing a Lamar team or two because my take on the Denver defense is they used to be very good and a team we did not want to target. Then they got rid of Nick Chubb. I think some other guys got hurt, and they've been awful recently, coupled with Russell, who could turn the ball over, especially without Sutton. Maybe won't have Judy too. The Ravens could just be on the field so often, and Lamar's been running the ball more with, with their passing game struggling. Like the Ravens dropped 4 touchdowns against the Jaguars. So I think Lamar low ownership. I'll play a team or two, but obviously with such great game spots, it's not the best spot. And then Russell, obviously no. All these running backs, I'm staying away from. Latavius Murray's usage is encouraging. Gus Edwards is getting carries only, so I don't know. Wide receiver, the only guy I might play from this game as a one-off is Kendall Hinton, where he might be the only guy out there. If Sutton I think Sutton has an illness. And then Judy, his ankle is a game time decision, so don't know. But hitting against a bad pass defense, definitely interesting. Tight end, again, Andrews definitely for the Lamar stacks. Other than that, probably not. And then Dulcich had a touchdown taken away last week. His target totals has been disappointing with Judy out, so I think he's a stay away. And I wouldn't be chasing this Josh Oliver steam with Isaiah Likely back in the lineup because he was banged up for that game. And then defense, no. Jacksonville at Detroit. This game has a 51 over under. Lions are 1-point favorites. So obviously this is going to be a popular game. It's not my favorite game of the slate, but definitely like a lot of pieces here. Obviously, Trevor is in play. He made a lot of impressive throws against the Ravens, and the Lions play a ton of man defense. So for any man zone split people out there, take note of that. Goff, I won't be playing Goff, but totally could get there in this spot. ETN, probably too cheap if he is fully healthy. Apparently, he got banged up and pulled out, but was fine. I'm not going to be playing as much ETN. I like the pass game options, but he's totally fine at 6,400. DeAndre Swift, is one of my personal favorite. I just like other defenses better this spot. But you could totally play the Ravens D because the Broncos are terrible. Just checking in on that defense price. They are 4K, so it's just, I would rather play the Niners. I like them straight up. But anyways, back to this game. DeAndre Swift is one of my favorite plays of this week. He's 5,600. He's right next to the price tags of like Isaiah Pacheco at 5,700, who I think will be more popular. Swift had almost had a touchdown this game. He got 8 targets. I'm just hoping that his carry totals go up because, the Lions get tackled at the 1 inside the 3-yard line, at such a high rate. That's got to come down to earth, and Jamal Williams cannot keep getting there on these goal line carries. So I'm going to be playing a lot of Swift in this game where if it is a shootout, I think Swift gets involved. At the wide receiver position, Amon-Ra, obviously cheap for a star wide receiver compared to his peers here at 7,100. So definitely playing him in stacks of this game and even one-offs. Kirk is always playable. His price tag is fine too. He just has big games in him. 34, 21, had 2 touchdowns against the Colts. So definitely like Kirk. Zay is obviously fine. I just think he's going to probably be a little bit more popular than what he should be. But, hey, he's got target totals of 10 and 14 in the last 2. So totally could be a Zay game. I don't think Jameson Williams is going to play. I think he's going to play next week, but something to monitor. And I don't think he would be used a lot if he is. The rest of these guys, not too interesting. Agnew had a touchdown last week, and then Chark, if Williams is out, there's definitely worse plays than Chark, who probably should play the most snaps he has in a while after 2 so-so games in a high total spot at only 3,800. At tight end, I'll be definitely playing some Evan Ingram, like Swift Ingram mini, something like that, where, it's been terrible, but you got a high total game. Aim to either stack your tight end or pay up for a star, in my opinion. And then defense, not too interested, but in high total games, you can get those strip sacks, etc. Okay, Cleveland at Houston. What's going on, Carlos? Thanks for tuning in. Cleveland at Houston has a 46 over-under. Browns are -8. So, obviously, this is Deshaun Watson's first game at 6,500. If you're playing large field, you obviously have to play a team or two of Watson. But I'm not going to be going overboard myself. Just a sprinkle. If Watson's the piece you need, okay, whatever. He is 6,500. Could totally reach 30. But there's enough cases where either Nick Chubb gets the touchdowns, Kareem Hunt gets the touchdowns on the ground, or Watson shows some rust in his first game back. So Nick Chubb, obviously in play. Dameon Pierce, this is the spot where I want to be playing Dameon Pierce too, where, hey, we saw week 1, no one thought the Seahawks would hang with the Broncos. Obviously that was wrong, but in this in this heavily narrative game of it's Deshaun's old team against a team that is just terrible against the run. Like their defensive tackles cannot stop anyone. They let up a lot of points. Dameon Pierce is probably going to be sub 5%, I would guess, after being popular week after week and failing. So this is the spot where if the Texans can convert whatever, I like Dameon Pierce. So definitely going to be playing some Pierce, not so much Hunt and whatnot. But I think Hunt's fine in Watson stacks. And then if you are stacking Watson, I think you take shots at Cooper, obviously. I think DPJ with Watson could be unlocked. So definitely the guy I want to stack in Watson teams. And then Nico, they already ruled Brandon Cooks out. They don't want him to be a thing. They want Nico to be a thing. So he's going to get the targets at least. He needs to fall in the end zone probably twice because it's just so unlikely he reaches the bonus. And then Schwartz scored that touchdown. I'm just curious if he's a speedster. I'm curious if he gets on the field a little bit more with Watson. Same with Bell. Like we don't know how it's going to shake out with Cleveland's pass catchers, but want to be ahead of Bell, Schwartz, and whatnot if they click with Watson a little bit more. At tight end, Njoku's out, so I think Harrison Bryant with Watson is fine. He's not done it with Njoku out in any spot really, but he's only 2,700, so he opens up a lot. And then stay away from the Texans side. And then I think there's worse plays in the world than the Texans D at 2,300 in a spot they should be motivated. Jets at Vikings. This game is currently a 44 over under with the Jets 3-point dogs. So my take on this one is I think the Jets are going to win. If you think the Vikings are going to win, you could play this differently, but I'll definitely be playing some Mike White teams in the Dome. And then not much as Kirk Cousins teams against this Jets D. At running back, I want to be playing some Cook in the White stacks where, he's just has such a massive workload and he's been so disappointing that he could totally break a long one or get in the end zone a couple times. And if Sauce Gardner does shut down Justin Jefferson, I don't know if he's even going to match up on him, then maybe the Vikings ground game's used a little bit more. Zonovan Knight obviously needs to be part of your portfolio if you are playing this game. Or just, he looked good. He's an undrafted free agent type, but Michael Carter is doubtful. Ty Johnson going to be the third down back. And then they'll work in James Robinson. It's yet to be seen how much they'll use him, but I think we're seeing that he's pretty zapped. So Zonovan Knight at 4,600, definitely playable, but on a slate that has McCaffrey in a great spot, Eckler in a great spot, Nick Chubb in a great spot. All of these 5,700, like these 6K and if Mixon's out, you got P. Rhyme, you got Pierce, you got Pacheco, you got Swift. Like you just got to make sure if you're playing Knight, like Knight getting 15 is probably not enough to win GPP. So I'm not going to be playing as much Knight in my lineups. The Vikings are a little bit better against the run, and just hope that the Jets score in the air. At wide receiver, if we go back to this game, at wide receiver, I'm definitely going to be playing a ton of Wilson. Wilson without Zach Wilson has been, elite. This game was like super windy, so now he gets a dome game, and he just looks like the alpha wide receiver one. And so alpha wide receiver one's at 5,300, just like Watson at 52. I might lock Watson and Wilson in quite a bit of teams and just build around them. Because, they have the 30-point upside and whatever. A floor performance is like 15 or so. Other players, obviously, I'll play some Jefferson in these stacks, but not as much. And then Corey Davis was pretty much like irrelevant. I think playing a little bit of Elijah Moore and seeing if he can get ramped up is okay in the dome, but pretty much just Wilson for me. And then at tight end, I like Hawkinson fine for the stacks. And I really like Conklin, who only got 3 targets. But I just think is good. And so definitely like him. Yeah, Conklin revenge game is too. One of the many revenge game narratives we have this week. So I'll definitely playing him, but something to keep note of is that Uzama did see 3 targets himself. He's just like not explosive at all. So that's why I like Conklin. And then the Jets D, one of the defenses I'll be playing a ton of this week. I just think the Jets D is lights out. I think the Vikings throw up a lot of like 50-50 balls, and I've gotten lucky, and that won't work against the Jets, is my take, if they go to the air. Washington at the Giants. This game's rocking a 40 over under with the Commanders 2-point favorites on the road. This game is a huge game for playoff purposes. I'm not going to be playing players from this game too much. It's just ugly in such in other spots that are easier to tell a story. So if you are, it's always fine to play Jones. He can always go for 30 on the ground, but he's pretty much just like Tyrod Taylor. So, like his stats are like identical to Tyrod, his like last year in Buffalo. And then Saquon, you could always play. The thing that the Giants have going for them is they're getting back Evan Neal, I believe, and either like their center or their guard, and maybe Daniel Bellinger, which Barkley's like rushing total splits, I think, with these 3 guys in versus them out the past couple of weeks. I think with them in, he's averaging like 130 yards. With them out, he's averaging like 80 yards. Now, a large portion of that is probably the blocking of these guys. However, the other part of that could be that just Barkley's touch totals is catching up to him, and he's just wearing down. So, one of the 2 things is true. The Washington defense is better than people think, and should have Chase Young back. So I won't be playing too much Barkley. He's only 300 cheaper than Eckler, 400 cheaper than McCaffrey, who I want to play a lot of. But you can. Brian Robinson, on the other hand, is ramping up his usage, and Gibson was spotty. I think he's going to play, but he was spotty in practice. And, I wouldn't say Brian Robinson looked too explosive in his first couple games, but the dude got fucking shot. It's not inconceivable he is going to get more explosive as the year goes. The coaching staff clearly loves him. You can run on this Giants D, so there's worse place in the world than Brian Robinson. I'm just probably not going to do it this week, though. Wide receiver, I'm not brave enough to click these names, but all the power to you if you would like to do it. Obviously, Terry's usage is good. Bellinger, the big thing for whether he plays or not is I don't think you want to play him, but just his blocking that he offers. Logan Thomas at 2,900, now that he's off the injury report, he's interesting. I think he's a hard click, though. We just haven't seen the chemistry between him and Heineke. And then, the defenses, if you had to play one, I think both are fine, honestly, because Heineke like leads the league in like turnover worthy plays. He's just, he's just gotten lucky so far. So those will come, the turnovers. This next game, a very interesting game, a 44 over under. Titans are 4.5-point dogs on the road. This is the AJ Brown revenge game, and I'm buying it. Definitely going to be playing some Hurts this week. The Titans D is a good D, but you could see they really let up a lot of passing yards. And, AJ Brown just seems like such a staple of this Eagles locker room, and like Hurts has got his back so much that I'm just guessing if like in games that the Eagles have been up big, they've been content to run it in the second half, burn clock and just get out there with the win. I'm going to guess that Hurts is going to force a couple extra to AJ Brown's way this game, especially in the red zone, because A.J. Brown, I think rightfully so, was very upset to be traded. He thinks that was dumb. I think it was dumb too. And so I think they're going to try to get A.J. Brown his revenge on the Titans this game. So definitely interested in Hurts for that reason. Just, him pushing himself a little bit more. Jordan Davis, the Eagles defensive tackles back. So, I'm usually not a Henry guy, but definitely not playing him this week with Davis back. Large field shit, worse clicks than Hilliard out there. Not too interested in the running backs in this game, though. A.J. Brown, definitely interested in. I think you could even double stack this week with Dallas Goedert still out and Devonta Smith getting target totals of 9, 9, and 8 in the last 3. But it's always easier to single stack Hurts because if he puts one in on the ground, it's just hard to get, 3 touchdowns between your 2 wide receivers. I'm not going to force bringbacks on the Titans, but obviously Treylon Burks is in discussion. If you are, solid box scores, getting more targets. And I think the Titans realize they just need Burks to be a thing if they are going to make a run in the playoffs, which they should get into. Quez Watkins, large field stuff. He's their deep burner, and you can beat the Titans deep. So there's worse plays, but he's kind of expensive for what he is, like a 1 to 2 target a game guy. Tight end, I'm not doing any of these guys. And then if I'm playing a defense in this game, I'll play the Eagles, but in some lineups, I'm also going to play the Titans D just in case the revenge game blows up in the Eagles' face. And the Titans D is pretty good. So them at 2,200, you can just open up a lot and jam some, if you're doing like a stars and scrub team, worse plays on the slate than the Titans D for sure. This next game is Seattle at the Rams. Not an interesting one. 41 over under. Seahawks 7-point favorites. It is in the dome, but yeah, I think John Wolford's playing. I don't really think that matters. Running back, some Ken Walker is fine, but not my favorite spot in the world, honestly. Won't be the Fields either, though. So him at 7K and low ownership, probably a solid GPP play. I guess Kyron Williams is like technically the one, but yeah, I'm not doing that. Definitely think both Seattle wide receiver ones are in play in Metcalf and Lockett, but again, the Rams side, hard to trust anyone. Fant darts, fine, but this game's mostly a stay away from me. This next game, Dolphins at the Niners. Dolphins are 4-point dogs, 46 over under. I think the Niners are going to really beat up on the Dolphins. My take is the Dolphins have beat up on bad teams and against like a great defense in Buffalo. Now, this game was like abnormally hot. They did not perform great on offense. They didn't perform great on offense against this team. Now, this was without Tua. They didn't perform great against New England's team. I mean, they won, but they only scored 20. So I don't think Tua is going to have the best game against this Niners D. Tua is good. I would not put him in the Mahomes category where like when the Chiefs played the Niners, I was like, oh, jam Chiefs. But the Niners D, one of my favorite Ds of the slate to play. They're only 3,100. I think they're too cheap for what they are. Quarterback, if I'm playing one from this game, I would say Garoppolo. It's just hard to pick who to stack him with. Running back, definitely going to be playing a lot of McCaffrey. Just feels like a spot where he could get a 40 burger, where the Dolphins D plays a lot of, I should mention that Armstead, the Dolphins O-line is bad. And B, I think their star left tackle may or may not play. I'm not sure if Armstead's going to play. But this just feels like a blow-up spot for McCaffrey where they kind of like force checkdowns to running backs anyways with their like man defense blitzy scheme. And so I just see McCaffrey as being like the chain mover, get in the end zone once or twice and smash. Miami side, not too interested in any of these running backs. TDP at 4K, he just needs a really long run or like 2 touchdowns to pay off. Wide receiver, I think I'll definitely play some Tyreek, even though I think the Niners are going to blow doors in this one just because it's going to be Miami's best way to move the ball. They're just going to throw short checkdowns to Tyreek, and the dude's so fast that no one can touch him. So obviously he could get there. And then I think all the typical Niners guys are in play. You can play some Ayuk in this game. Juwan Jennings is a playable dart. You can play some Waddle, but I would rather play Tyreek. If Debo is healthy, which doesn't look like he is, which could even be bigger for McCaffrey, you could play some of him. You could play some Kittle, and I will be playing some Kittle at 5K. Just seems like a good spot, honestly. I just think the Niners, again, are going to win this game. And then, Niners D, one of my favorites of the slate. This next game, Chiefs at Bengals, sports a 52 over under. Chiefs currently 2-point favorites on the road. I definitely like this game more than Detroit and Jacksonville. So if the field is playing that game, very happy to play more of this game. I like Burrow more than Mahomes just because he's cheaper, but I'll be playing Mahomes teams too, obviously. Running back, if Mixon is in, I'm not playing him. If he's out, I'll be playing some Pirine. Definitely be playing some Pacheco teams too, where, I think teams like the Bills, teams like the Chiefs, we just saw the Bills really utilize James Cook in a game where the Patriots sat in cover 2 and said, hey, we're going to take away the deep ball. You're going to have to beat us with checkdowns. And the Bills said, fine, stop James Cook. And James Cook ran all over them. I think Pacheco is similar for the Chiefs, where when teams are sitting in cover 2, they want him touching the ball. He doesn't get a lot of targets, but he's going to get such high rushing attempts if the Chiefs are leading at all, and should, have some good chances to score. He looks, like he's a little bit like a gazelle in there. He's definitely raw, but he does all these like jump cuts, but he looks fast at least. So he's definitely going to be playing some Pacheco, mostly in stacks. Wide receiver, definitely playing Chase. It's interesting that Chase got priced up when he didn't even play last week. He has been hurt with the hip, but if he's back, I think they're going to use him, and he's their explosive guy, obviously. T. Higgins, less interested in, but obviously play him too. Boyd, when you have teams like quarterbacks like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, you could always play the wide receiver 3s, the Tyler Boyds, the Hardmans, etc. with them. They're always going to be way lower owned. And so it's just easier to win GPPs when these are the guys that have big games. Definitely be playing some MVS at 4,100. Sky Moore at 3,100. Target totals of 6 and 6. So I'll be playing quite a bit of him. And then the Chiefs really like Justin Watson. Not the targets haven't been there, but he gets the ball deep. So I think in large field, a dart at him is fine too. And then at tight end, I will be playing Hurst and Kelsey. A little bit interesting that Justin Reed, the Chiefs safety, thought he was calling out Hayden Hurst, called out T. Higgins by accident. But hey, maybe Hayden Hurst has a big game because he got called out in the media. So definitely like him for stacks. And then, defense. I think the Chiefs defense is fine. Bengals defense is fine too. This next game is the Chargers at the Raiders. Last game of the slate. 49 over under. Chargers +2 on the road. The Chargers, who are in playoff contention, getting points. Definitely going to be playing some Herbert, Derek Carr. I'm not going to do that, but you totally could. And then, obviously, with Herbert, you could play Eckler. You could play Jacobs, but he's been limited all practice. The Raiders, in some sense, like I assume Josh Jacobs is going to another team next year as a free agent. So in some sense, the Raiders should just keep running Josh Jacobs and save their rookies for next year. But on the other hand, with them out of playoff contention, they may want to see what the rookies got. So I don't know what Josh Jacobs' usage will be. If he's high owned, I'm not going to be playing him. But if he's low owned, he's interesting. Abdullah scored a touchdown last week, but really low touch totals there. Wide receiver, you could always play Devontae. He's quietly just having a great year. And this Chargers D is not as good as we want them to be. Keenan Allen, I think, is a good play. You just hope these targets go up and that he's been a little banged up. But with Mike Williams still out, could see him having a good game. Josh Palmer, I like for the stack. I think Mac Hollins for stack purposes is fine. Carter is playable, but not my favorite spot. And then at tight end, I'm not going to play Everett. You could play Moreau, and if you look at DraftKings, it says, the Chargers are 24th against tight ends, but, the Chargers got destroyed by Kelsey. They got destroyed by, some of the big tight ends. I think they played Andrews too. Or they got to put Kelsey. They played Njoku, who's all right. They played Kittle. But yeah, I think it's a little misleading by the stars I've done against them. But at the same time, Moreau's just been solid. So try to stack your tight end is what I'll say there. All right, guys, quick run through today. Give me a quarterback. Let's build a team and get out of here. And good luck, everyone, this week. First person to give me a quarterback. Let's build a team. Oh, God. Anyone else? No, we'll do Tua. It's not my favorite spot, but, it could happen. All right, we're going to do a McCaffrey and Tyreek. We're doing an alpha stack. So with that, we need to get, let's just throw the Jets D in there. And we need some salary savers. Let's jam in the two chalk guys who I'm okay eating this chalk in Watson and Wilson. They're not too expensive. We need another running back. I think Knight makes sense with a Wilson Knight mini or Swift. Let's go down to Knight just because we need the salary. And then this is with 4,100. Tight end. I mean, one of my favorite ones is Conklin, but I don't want to play 3 Jets. So let's get who do I want to play at tight end? Let's throw Bryant in there. And that leaves us with 5,500 in the flex. So maybe we just throw Boyd in there. It's hard to see the ceiling outcome with Deontay. We could drop the Jets D and get up to like a Juju who should be more healthy and play more now. We could get up to, like an Ayuk. Nah, we're just gonna throw in Boyd. Don't dupe me, guys. If you want to build something different than this, go for it. Throw this one in. All right, guys. That's all I got. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe. Good luck this weekend. Oh, I should mention, I like DraftKings has the 555 milli maker this week. Usually they only have the 20, and they have the like 4K. So if you like this slate and want to build, one or two teams and take a shot, I'll be playing some teams in the 5-5-5 for sure. Hope we can run Pierre and ship this Millie. Good luck this weekend, guys. Peace.